I took the cameras of the iPhone 15 Pro and put them against the iPhone 14 Pro, 13 Pro, and 12 Pro. And to spice things a little bit, I'm not going to tell you which photo was taken by which phone. Instead, I'm going to let you choose what you think is the best photo, and then you can see for yourself if the upgrade is actually worth it or not. Let's get into it. We're starting up with some easy type of shots, which is the daylight shots. The type of environment that most phones can get great photos in, but the test here is not how crisp the photo is, although we want to see that, but instead the HDR capabilities of each phone. I intentionally went in midday in Dubai so we can see how the phones can balance out the bright highlights with the dark shadows. I also intentionally put some trees in there and some colors, and if we zoom in we can see the details of the tree, and in the other shot we can see also how all these different colors are portrayed. And if we zoom in on the wheel we can see which is the grainiest and which is the crispiest. You can go back and recheck before I show you the results, but here are the results. Now moving on to the other lenses within this environment, starting from the main cameras and then the tele lenses. These shots kind of give it away. And then we move to the wide lens, and if we zoom in on the wide lens we see the details of each shot. Again, you can go back and recheck it before you see the results, but here are the results. Now moving to the front camera, I took some selfies in different lighting conditions to test the HDR capabilities. I think it's obvious which is which. I also tested the portrait mode with the front camera, and here are the results. And by the way, it's good to mention that the normal photos also can turn to portrait on the new iPhone, so something to keep in mind. I also took some macro shots. Unfortunately, the 12 Pro is not capable of that, but weirdly enough, the 14 felt the most natural looking out of the bunch. You tell me. Now moving to video capabilities of these phones in such environment, all of them had extremely good videos. I tried to shoot with them while walking, while jogging a little bit too. I tried to pan. I was shooting at 4K 24 FPS. We can zoom in also and see the details. All four phones got great videos, but the 14 and the 15 were the best, especially with stabilization. And on the 15 it has noticeably better high dynamic range. And here are the results. Now moving on to the night environment. I uploaded a video test a few days ago of the iPhone 15 Pro ProRes 4K 30 FPS HDR. If you want to go watch it, you can go. But in this video's test, I went somewhere else, and I also tried to jog, walk, and pan with the phones. I was also shooting 4K 24 FPS. It wasn't that bright in that area, just to let you know. Some areas were slightly brighter than the other areas, but in general, it was a very dim environment. We can see the differences of how each phone was able to balance out the highlights and the shadows, especially from light sources. I think the 14 and the 15 did very well, even the 13 Pro, but the 12 was slightly grainier than the others, but still it captured a great video. And here are the results. Now moving on to the photos at night, I had some indoor shots, some shots of a stadium, some shots of neon lights, and I also intentionally put a lot of light sources in it so we can see how the phones can deal with all of that. Tried to add some colors here and there so you can see the differences between the reds, the greens, the blues, even the purple. I also captured a lot of LEDs, and I also took some selfies with the front camera in a pretty dim environment. And funny enough, only the 12 and the 13 kicked night mode, the 14 and 15 didn't. And zooming into one of these shots, we can kind of tell which photo was taken by which phone. After all these samples, here are the results. And I also intentionally tried to add a lot of lens flare because I wanted to see how much that problem was resolved throughout the years, especially with the 15 Pro after claiming that they tried to fix that problem. Well, we still have a lot of lens flare with all of them, but the 15 had the least out of them, but still it needs a lot of work. The 13 photos and videos were so great. It's the only one with very slightly different colors, so that's how I was able to spot it every time I change between these photos. But starting from the 14 Pro and the 15 Pro, the details in these shots are amazing. I mean, I was able to zoom in so much, yet I was still able to see a lot of details even at night. Now moving indoors, especially to this studio, I know it's a very well lit studio, but I wanted to test the portrait capabilities of each phone and see how well each phone was able to capture my fuzzy hair, my new fuzzy hair. Anyways, and I shot multiple shots with each phone and they were all very similar, almost the same. You can see how each phone was able to blur the background. Notice my fuzzy hair. Now honestly, all of them took great photos. And here are the results. We can see how much details each phone was able to capture. If you have a 12 Pro and you're thinking about upgrading, you still have great cameras, great phone. You don't really need to upgrade, but if you want the latest and greatest, you can upgrade. Now the final face-off is gonna be between the 13, the 14, and the 15, testing their RAW files. The 12 Pro doesn't have RAW capabilities. Don't really focus on the colors, but focus more on the dynamic range and the details. The 13 has only RAW. The 14 and 15 can shoot in various different options. And if we zoom in, we can kind of see the details and the grain of each photo. The 14 Pro with its RAW capabilities can do way more than the default settings. Weirdly enough, sometimes even surpassing the 15 with the details. But on the other hand, the 15 has less grain and better dynamic range performance because it has the new Smart HDR5. Again, if you want to go back and look at the photos before I show you the results, but here are the results. I mean, yes, each year is slightly better than the year before, and with the 15 is no exception, but the 15 so far has the best photos and videos in my opinion. But it was very hard to tell for a lot of my friends that I showed them the pictures. Tell me down in the comments which photo you thought is the best and it was taken by which phone. Let's have a chat down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for watching. See you.